This is Jamie Drummond with Good Food Revolution. I'm here with Master Brewer Alex Barlow. How are you, Alex?
Very well, thank you.
Now you're coming to the end of a short Canadian tour. Tell us what you've been doing in Canada.
Having a good time with some really good friends, mainly. But the business side of it, I was meeting a publisher. I'm having my book translated from English to French, and so it's going to be published in Quebec and France and the French-speaking countries in Europe, courtesy of Quebecois publisher. And brewing beer and launching a beer that I brewed back in October.
That was when you were here for Oktoberfest, which is when we first met.
Absolutely, yeah, Beau's, that fateful weekend.
Now, first, what's the name of the book that you're having published over here?
The book is the All Beer Guide. All Beer being an acronym basically for ale, lager and lambic, so it's all about different beer styles and their flavours.
Right, okay. And is this a book that was published, was it a couple of years ago in the UK or last year?
A couple of years ago in the UK, yeah, I self-published it, so this is the first foray with a genuine publisher.
Right, and this is looking at beers worldwide, not only in the UK or in Europe.
It talks not about specific individual beers, but about the styles of beer and the type of flavours you get with them. So it's really a guide to, our standby word for it is really flavour discovery choice. So it's all about the flavour and so through knowing what types of flavours you like and individually, because it's also a guide to your senses and how to appreciate the different flavours that come with beer. Well, frankly, with anything, it's it's as applicable to wine, cider, food, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, through that, discovering the different styles of beer, the real diversity of beer, and giving you ultimately better choices, so you can enjoy your interactions more.
Now, the love child that you birthed with Beau's when you had that steamy affair up at Oktoberfest. Tell us a little bit about that beer.
Well, we call it Mates with Dates. Mates was so based on the friendship that Steve and I and the team up there have formed, and it's brewed with dates. Put simply, it's a date brown double. So it's based on a brown ale, but it's double fermented. So it's originally fermented with an English type ale yeast. So it's an English brown ale. But it was then re-fermented with a Belgian Trappist yeast after the addition of 30 kilos of macerated organic medjool dates and 10 kilos of cane sugar. So that gave the yeast plenty to work on and also bringing extra flavour in. So it's a very complex beer.
I tasted it for the first time last night and was actually blown away. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Is this a beer that will be widely available, or is it a limited production?
Very, very limited. We only brewed 15 barrels, so there was 1,000 bottles released, I think.
Okay, and it appears that many of them were actually consumed last night. So.
Well, we had a keg on at the pub
right.
last night, which sold out fairly rapidly. So yeah, it's. I think you need to go to Beau's to get the bottles.
It's a very, very, very complex beer, as you said. How would you go about pairing a beer like that? Because it comes in, is it 17.5% or around about?
It's not quite that strong.
It's not quite
7.7.
7.7. Okay. 7.7.
So it's not a session beer,
right.
But really, I mean, I looked to the characteristics of the beer and really sort of like what you want to do with complementing and contrasting flavours. It's got quite a spicy character to it, courtesy of both some of the hops but also the Belgian yeast. So it would work with certain spicy foods. But I wouldn't really use it as a thirst quencher, so something with a bit of bite would be good, but particularly good with cheeses. We served it with a cheese course at a dinner last night, and it worked very well, particularly with something that's got a bit of a nutty character, a bit of richness and depth to it. Some of the more mature cheeses. Also work with a blue cheese, but nothing too sharp or oily, and absolutely sublime when you have a date in your mouth. It's we serve the cheese with dates, and you know, so you can't tell really where the food stops and the beer starts. They just segue into each other.
Now, you've been to Canada a couple of times now. What are your thoughts about Canadian beer?
I think it's a great place for beer. There's very much a no holds barred attitude, so there's a lot of experimentation going on. I think, unlike the UK, it's which is to a certain degree held back by some of the established beer culture. It's really grown here. It's influenced by the US, particularly in Quebec, where I've spent a good amount of time. There's a lot of European influence as well. But this no holds bar approach is bringing a lot of experimentation and throwing up some fantastic beers. I mean, there are some very, very talented brewers here.
Now, you work as a consultant back in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been making any interesting beers back in the UK recently?
I've actually sort of like restrained my collaborations to the Canadian brewers. I've got a sort of like a list of collaborations. As I said, I did one while I was here, and I've got another one in the pipeline. In England, a lot of what I do is more consultancy based and helping breweries, you know, sort of like improve their consistency and also educate their staff in style, flavour, beer communication.
I see. Well, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. I have one question for you before you head off for brunch, and that is, what does good food mean to you?
Good food is absolutely everything. I have a very simple approach to food and drink, and that is that if we've got to eat and drink to live, then you might as well enjoy it. So, you know, good food is everything, and you know, sort of like, for me, it's cooking what you like, making it fresh, making it wholesome, and making it pleasurable.
Those are certainly words to live by, Alex. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to catch up with you very, very soon.